Okay, so
We are live.
okay, right then. Hello. Hi.
Minefield Publishing, the place where you unleash your creative genius. Write the book you've always dreamed of. Tell that unique story of yours. Minefield Publishing is a place to be for both online and print publishing. Welcome to Minefield Publishing Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn live interview. Meet your host, Edentu Oroso, the author of the #1 Amazon bestseller, Titan Race.
Hi there. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. And I'm particularly excited this morning because we'll be talking on the art of storytelling. And I'll be chatting with a very gifted writer, editor, illustrator, and artist, Gary Bonn. The last time he was here, we had connectivity issues, and so we couldn't actually complete the interview. This morning it's my pleasure to welcome Gary Bonn. Gary, you're welcome.
Hello. How are you doing?
I'm fine. And you?
I'm okay, thanks. Yeah.
Good to have you here again.
Okay. Well, it's good to be here. So let's kick off.
Let's kick off the art of storytelling. What does storytelling mean to you, and how do you come up with those thrilling stories of yours? Each time I read your short story, I get thrilled. You have a way with words. You play on words, and you draw the reader in. How do you manage to achieve that?
Storytelling is all about being able to lie. I'm good at lying.
All about
Because the story is, of course, fiction, but you must, and this is the trick, you have to get into the reader's mind and take control. This isn't an unpleasant invasion because the reader has, in fact, welcomed it, and they're quite happy to suspend disbelief in some respects. So it's you're in an ideal position then to convince them that, for instance, they're on an island being a character in some sort of situation, adventure, and interaction with themselves or other people. It's a wonderful ability that humans have to fantasize and to make up their own stories. And for instance, with dreams and daydreams, and the reader and the writer get into a sort of collusion and work together to take the reader through a situation which is unreal and yet emotionally real, in the same way as in a dream you can be very frightened even though it's not actually happening in a physical reality. So really what you're doing is working with the reader together to create an emotional reality to which they can react.
Okay, in essence, suspension of disbelief, right? You do that with finesse. That is the area I'm interested in. How do you do it with finesse?
I have no idea. I think it's it's just something that comes to you with experience, I suppose. I'm not sure that I do it with any great finesse. I enjoy doing it. It's something I can do and entertain not only other people but myself at the same time. It's a bit of a challenge. It's like, how do I put it? to write a good story, I suppose, would be a little like playing a game of chess or Go. The contestant you're playing against is yourself, and you always try to play the very best game. You don't always win, so some pieces of writing you realize are failures. They haven't achieved what you want them to do, so you cast them aside and continue with those which are successful.
So how long have you been writing? When did your writing journey begin?
I have I have no idea. It's I suppose at school, and subsequently I've written little articles and what have you. Since then, about 30 years ago, I began writing novels, and I've continued to write novels. I have piles of novels that are unpublished that I really must get round to doing something with. But if I have piles of novels, I have mountains of short stories. But fortunately, my publisher, Clarendon House, has agreed to publish a couple more anthologies of short stories. And I think one of them will be some general short stories, which I believe are some of my best. And the second, I hope, will be on the subject of love.
Okay. You are an artist, a writer, editor, and illustrator, all rolled into one. How do you find the balance in all this?
I tend to do them one at a time. Working as an artist is something I did in the past. When I worked in London, I did some illustration at that point as well. Well, I did quite a lot, but I tend to concentrate on just one medium at a time. I can't paint and write and illustrate. That's too chaotic. I'm already quite chaotic enough, thank you. So writing is what I do at the moment.
So how is your writing routine like? Do you have a particular place where you're comfortable writing, or any place can go?
I write in my head, and I then type anywhere that's available. Currently, I'm in this tiny office as I'm between houses, having sold one, I'm looking to buy another, and I'm, as I say, in this tiny little rented office. It makes no difference to me. As a writer or an artist, you're very much in your head, and your head is anywhere. For instance, yesterday when I was writing, I spent almost the entire day in my mind within a primary school. The day before that, I was in a tournament in the south of France. And the day before that, I was on an Andamanese island. So your imagination is where you do your story writing and your character development and your interaction in particular with the reader. So wherever I am physically makes no difference. It's nice to have some silence and no distraction. Other than that, it makes, there's no reason for me to stop writing.
Okay. The focus here is the art of storytelling. What works for you? When you come up with an idea, do you first and foremost write it down, maybe have a plan, or you are like a punch or something?
I make notes, because my memory is absolutely hopeless. And many writers will tell you this, that you really have to have a notebook with you. It is impossible to maintain the memory of a story in your head, a good idea. No matter how hard you try, you are going to lose it. In fact, there's one humorous tale, and that is that my wife one day came out of a bathroom and, in annoyance, said, "Do you want me to clean all that steam off the bathroom?" To which my son replied, "No, no, those are all his notes, because as I was in the shower, I was writing on the glass in the condensation, making notes as I showered." And you have to be very disciplined. I'm sorry, there was more to your question, but I was answering that part of it. What was the rest?
I mean, the writing process. Some take down notes, like you just said. Others just write from memory. That was the area I was interested in. Now, let me pick you up on your debut collection of short stories, Through Another's Eye. It's a
Uh-huh.
potpourri of themes. It's a potpourri of themes. You have themes from the paranormal to the what have you. That together.
Sorry, I missed the last part of your question.
The focus here is your debut collection of short stories, Through Another's Eye.
Oh, right,
That was
yes.
Down House. I'm just looking at the themes. The themes are diverse. It cut across all. It's a broad spectrum of a spectrum of themes. What I'm interested in is how were you able to put that together?
Well, underneath and underlying all of those stories, although, yes, they're a very diverse collection of genres, some of them humorous also. Uh, Beneath them, you'll find a common thread, and this is something that is really a driving force behind my writing, and that is there is a theme that enables me to challenge doctrines, paradigms, cultural mores, social laws, and in particular, people's belief in reality. We are taught a lot from birth about what we are and where we are, and a lot of this is wrong. But it's very, very helpful for a person to have writers, and so many people have done this. In particular, people like Blake or George Bernard Shaw. Um, well, just about any writer, really. They will point to elements of your beliefs, uh, your perceptions of reality, and they will attack them. I mean, for instance, George Bernard Shaw and Blake, whom I just mentioned, were making a concerted attack on our perception of morality. Shaw, in particular, loathed our idea of morality and spent his life in a constant battle against it. Whereas I don't have a battle against anything in particular. What I do enjoy doing is saying, this is a common belief in our perception of reality. Do you actually believe that? Do you want to question it? I try to be very gentle, but overlying that are the stories and the characters. And let me think. It's a long time ago I wrote that one. And I can't remember the titles, actually, of the stories. But there are several in which, well, there's one in which a character is confronting a big moral decision about whether she's going to help people or whether she's going to enjoy life. There's another one in which a blind man, a blind woman, and an elderly man both explore the nature of reality. And so it goes on. But ultimately, this is just a sideline. As I say, overlying are stories and characters, and I enjoy making stories and characters that will entertain people and give them new concepts. For instance, I was once challenged to write a story about vampires, but I don't want to write about vampires. Some vampires are already an idea. I want to create new ones. As a result, I wrote a novel about a woman who appears on the surface to be extremely dangerous and violent, and the characters around her feel that she is something like a vampire, but actually she is someone who is kind and making an attempt to save as many people as she can against a danger that other people are unable to perceive. So it's very new ideas, and I don't want to repeat what's been done before.
Okay.
Again, I've forgotten the question. I was rambling on.
Yeah, I'm going to get back to it. From your answer, I deduce that there's an undergirding philosophy why you challenge paradigms and doctrines. What is that undergirding philosophy?
It's impossible to it's impossible to really explain a philosophy. It's also, the reason for that is that sooner or later you come to a place in your questioning and your thinking that words don't go. So you are completely disarmed. You cannot convey what it is you're thinking. What you can do, and what's much more important, is to point at what people do believe and just let them question it, invite them to question, is this way I'm thinking actually the way I think or the way I've been taught to think? And in this way, you can be very much more successful, enabling people to go into that place without words themselves and find out for themselves what it is they want to believe and how they want to think.
You have a copy of Through Another's Eyes.
I do, I think. Hang on a second. I will go and get it. Won't be a second.
Minefield Publishing, the place where you unleash your creative genius. Write the book you've always dreamed of. Tell that unique story of yours. Minefield Publishing is a place to be for both online and print publishing. Welcome to Minefield Publishing Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn Live Interview. Meet your host, Edentu Oroso, the author of the #1 Amazon bestseller, Titan Race.
Hello. Yes, I have a copy in my hands now.
Okay, all right. Let's see.
Pardon?
Could you kindly raise it up for your viewers to look at? Yeah, that's the book, Through Another's Eyes. Can you do us a favor? Hello, Gary. I want you to read just one short story there for us, maybe one paragraph or two. Let the viewers get to see, feel the way you feel it works.
Okay, right. Crikey. Okay, we can go to page 91 and a story called Yes. I have it. Okay, well, let's have a go at the first paragraph. I can feel her feet as she runs. She must be the fittest nun in the world. She's far down and sprinting to gain speed for the first steep bit. Then the path follows a gentle crack in the cliff for a while before turning sharp into the zigzags of the tortuous vertical stretches. She'll run all of it, except where the path collapsed, and nuns and monks hammer in a safety chain. The chain rattles sometimes and adds to the moaning of the wind through crags. It also announces the arrival and safe departure of those holy people who bring me water, food, and firewood every day. That's the chain rattling now. She's so fast, she'll be carrying a heavy pack too. In a moment, the ledge to the left of my cave will be visible to her, then the entrance. I put fresh pine chunks on the fire. She'll like the smell, and it's not good for her to cool down too quickly after all that exercise. I adore her, of course, and she comes when she doesn't need to, just to see me. If only the young knew the joy they bring with them. And so it goes on. And that's a story about... Sorry, carry on.
That is vintage Gary Bonn, artist, writer, illustrator, and what have you. He just gave us a piece from his collection of short stories, Through Another's Eyes. Where can that book be? Where can we buy that book? Is it on Amazon?
Yes, it's on Amazon and bookshops and so on. I think most people will go to Clarendon House Publications.
UK,
yes, you can get as Clarendon House Publications is the publisher, and it's easy enough to buy it from there. But yes, you can get it on Amazon or indeed any other book selling platform.
Is that your only book up to date? Do you have other books that you've published maybe elsewhere also?
Yes, there's another one that Clarendon published shortly after, and there will be two coming up this year as well. I have stories in so many anthologies now, I have no idea what they're all called or who published them. But I have a series of novels as well. Well, three series. One is of a mystical college at Cambridge University, and that's a series of 4 books. They're humorous, they're light entertainment, but they do have an underlying theme of breaking down paradigms and what have you. There's a science fiction series starting with Hive Mind that I wrote more or less for my son, who was playing a computer game and wanted some stories to go with it. And from that grew a series of 3 books. And I also have some young adult novels, The Evil and the Fear, and so on. And again, these are all available in the usual places.
Through Another's Eye is a product of a competition that took place in Clarendon House, I guess. How did you emerge as the winner?
Sorry, I didn't get the last part of your question.
Your collection of short stories. I remember is a product you had a competition in Clarendon House Publications also, where your short story made the best, and there your book became that led to the publishing of your book. Am I correct?
This is how Clarendon often works to produce a book of fine short stories through competition. However, in my case, that didn't happen. I was invited by Clarendon House to make a submission. The reason for that is that I have I don't enter competitions. I don't know why, but I am totally non-competitive. I do not like the idea of winners and losers. I'm much more of, I would like to see everyone as winners, or everyone consoling each other as losers. I don't like individual competition in that way.
Okay. Now, there are a lot of people out there who look up to you as a writer. What works for you and what doesn't work for you? What are the nitty-gritties of the writing process that you want to impress upon those who are watching us right now?
The secret, always the secret. And if you're struggling with your writing, the secret is the reader. Everything has to be about the reader. You are serving the reader and nobody else. You must do what the reader requires. You have to get into their head, see what they need, and give it to them completely. So whenever you're having difficulty with your writing, or you're blocked, or a scene is becoming a huge struggle, always the way out of it is the reader. Serve the reader and your story will come together as well as you can make it.
Do you have any role models that you look up to yourself?
Do I have any rules? Did you say?
Role models.
Role models, right. So many. Just about everyone I've read. In the Inner Circle Writers Group, a Facebook platform for writers, I'm amongst a group of fabulous writers, and every day I'm reading snippets of their work, and that's always inspirational. And I would say that virtually every other book that I've read has in some way instructed me or inspired me, or in some cases perhaps showed me what not to do. But if I were to find or name a few of the most outstanding writers, I think Mervyn Peake and Kafka, of course, would be up there, along with Shakespeare, and then you might find that, or you will find that a lot of writers, let's take what you might call an average popular writer, Neville Shute. Neville Shute wrote a lot of very good books. They're all very readable, they're all entertaining. But then he writes this work of absolute genius called Round the Bend. And it's that genius, it's that magic when the writer and a good idea and the reader come together to collude and produce a fabulous piece of work that I'm always pursuing. And I think every writer is.
What are your favorite books?
Sorry?
What are your favorite books? Books that you love?
Well, I've just mentioned we have a radio program in the UK called Desert Island Discs. And in this, you are taken to an island and you're allowed a very few books to take with you. If I were to do that, I would certainly take a book, Comet in Moominland by Tove Jansson. It's a children's book. I read it when I was 7 or 8 years old, and I have never been so captivated, or indeed more captivated, by writing. It's opened up so many ways of thinking. I was excited. I was breathless with excitement reading that book. And Tove Jansson is a world-famous author whose children's books, the Moomintroll series, are read by adults and children alike, simply for the quality of her writing and her ability to get into the mind of her characters and the reader. So I would certainly take some Tove Jansson with me. I would also take a Titus Groan by Mervyn Peake, which is, again, an intoxicating work. It's not for everyone, this is true. It's so exciting to read. You are drawn into that world with... There's nothing gentle about it. Mervyn Peake draws you into that world with ferocity and holds you with tenacity. It's the concept of Gormenghast, this eternal castle that has boundaries, though you can never find them, is so enchanting. So if you would like two fabulous books to read, then I suggest anything by Tove Jansson, but certainly Titus Groan by Mervyn Peake. Of course, there are thousands upon thousands of other books that I think there are now more really good books than possibly people on the planet. It's not a good time for writers because there's already so much material and it lasts forever.
Okay, what's your take on the publishing industry? Do you think new or relatively unknown authors have a chance to be known?
I think it has changed in the last few years. I would say it's as difficult now to be published as it always was. It's extremely difficult, if not impossible, to make sufficient money to pay for your writing. Don't go into writing to make money. It's just not you'd be. It's easier to be struck by lightning. I don't know what the publishing industry is going to do. Readers are faced with a new problem, and that is that in self-published books, you are buying a book that has not gone through what's known in the industry as a gatekeeper. Now, a gatekeeper used to be an agent to whom the writer would submit a book, or publisher, or both, who would look at the book and then reject it or accept it, suggest changes and editing hints to the writer to improve that book. And then the book becomes a team effort. And that's where the book becomes something shining. It becomes a much greater piece of work. To buy a self-published book, you run the risk of a book that hasn't gone through that process. So reading the blurb, obviously, and reading the first few pages is very important for the reader, particularly if they're going to pay. On some of the selling platforms, if you're purchasing an ebook, you can read the first couple of chapters before you commit to paying for the book. This is a very good system. There are some brilliant authors who are self-publishing at the moment. And I was speaking to one the other day in Egypt, who as yet has not published a book, but really needs to, because her work is utterly brilliant. And one day when she does finally publish, I will announce this to the world. I don't know what's going to happen to the publishing industry. I would like to see people such as yourself looking at books, reading books, and selecting the best then to talk about in media, because then you're allowing the reader the benefit of your selection, the benefit of your time and your hard work in looking at material and saying, actually, this is good. This really impressed me. Because if they like the sort of work that you like, then you've just saved them a lot of time and perhaps a lot of money too.
Brilliant idea. You've just given me a wonderful idea to work on. I think we'll work with synergize and come up with something along that line. I want you to take another short story from your collection of short stories through another's eyes. Something that would draw the readers in, or those that are watching us now will draw them in. I have a very punchy question for you after this.
Okay, going right. I have to be very careful here. Right, there is one story here that I would like to read if I can. In fact, I tell you what, why don't we go back to, oh no, here we go. I'm flicking through and I want to read all of them. Okay, this is a bit autobiographical. And I used to teach art in London in the evenings. It paid very little, but it was enjoyable work. So here I am in London a long time ago. That smell when you sharpen a pencil, the concentration as the knife sculpts the point, the sense of purpose, challenge, creation. I love this chaotic studio, the heavy scent of linseed oil, the walls covered in work of students long gone and forgotten. I look up at the 6 people watching me. My informal evening class doesn't pay much, but it's better than nothing. I reckon 3 of the class are retired. They're here for fun. Two girls sit together. They're probably friends and don't look like they're here for anything serious. And one guy, his eyes hard on me, challenging, pencils ready. He's here to learn. A curling peel of wood drops from my blade and spins to the floor. I say, always sharpen drawing pencil with a knife. Ordinary sharpers can snap the soft lead. Make sure the blade is as sharp as possible and never more moves towards any part of you. I hold up a perfect point. I'm on form, confident, poised, and focused. Something good will come of today. The story goes on to lead to a disastrous situation that occurred in one of those lessons when a girl and I had organized a model to come and sit so that people could draw her, but she swapped with another girl who turned up, and the girl who turned up I utterly loathed. I hated her. She was an aggressive, egotistical, constantly annoying person, and it made the rest of the class, well, into an absolute disaster. But read the story if you want to find out what happened. Okay.
Yeah, I said I was going to give you a punchy question. I crave your indulgence to answer this question the best way you can. Not too long ago, you made a post. It was a short story, and it was something that most of us that are your friends, you got us worried. It was a suicidal note. What was the raison d'etre for that?
I have worked in many fields, like poets, writers, dancers, actors, artists, painters. A lot of us will work in other fields to actually earn money. And my field was nursing, general nursing, and psychiatric nursing. And in psychiatric nursing, I spent a lot of time, obviously, using this creative gift that artists have to enter the minds of other people, to understand their problems and to help them out of them. So depressed people, psychotic people, and suicidal people were among those that I worked with. And the mind of a suicidal person is actually very frightening. It's an extreme form of depression, very often. And in some ways, it's a very, very simple, almost pure way of thinking. And in some ways, it feels like a sanity, a simple, very clear thinking sanity. It inevitably will end up in suicide unless you can catch that person first. So that story took the reader right into a suicidal frame of mind, but challenged that way of thinking to show that there are flaws. The person in that situation feels that they are sane, feels that nobody has control. There is no point in anything. And, well, these things may be true, but you don't need to be suicidal at the same time. So it was a story to show that that way of thinking does have great flaws, and that suicide is avoidable.
Most of us, your friends, misread that story, and I remember personally chatting you up on it, and you told me it was just an artistic impression of a suicidal tendency, and thank God you've been able to clear that on it. On the last note, what would be, there are so many writers out there who want to up their game, so what would be your advice to them?
Read read other writers. Reading helps hugely. If you can, get into a community of writers, those people who've been writing for several years and who know the industry and have had their stories rejected hundreds of times. These people are gold dust, because spending time with them online or in other ways, showing them your work, looking at their work, critiquing each other's work, this is all vital to improve your own writing and to, as you say, up your game. So a good book is often and could easily always be a team effort. If you have good quality people around you and you pass your work to them, they will come back criticizing it, and they can be absolutely savage. I've had some great shocks, and I've also given out great shocks. For instance, what are these 3 chapters doing here? They don't need to be here. Get rid of them. People who have said to me things like, Gary, before you write another book, can you go and get therapy, please? And things like that. Yes, send your books, your work out to people whom you know are not going to be gentle and flattering, but highly critical and aggressive, and your work will improve.
Wonderful. Gary, I remember confessing to you that I'm one of your fans. I read you a lot, all your short stories. I have a collection.
I enjoy your articles too.
Well, viewers out there, I've been chatting with Gary Bonn, excellent writer, illustrator, editor, and artist. He has a lot going on for him in terms of writing. There's a collection of short stories now called Through Another's Eyes. It's on Amazon. It's on all major platforms around, online platforms around the world. It's on bookshops. Go get it and read. Very excellent writer. I'm honored to be his friend, and I'm honored to be interviewing him this morning. Gary, thank you so much for being such a wonderful guest on this show. It has been a thrilling experience chatting with you. We hope to do this some more sometime in the nearest future. Thank you, Gary.
Well, thank you very much. And I'll just stress again that I am a fan of yours as well. And I'm particularly, how do you put it, impressed with you having this show up and running and managing it. It must be a huge job. But yes, if I'd given you an idea about reading books and reporting on them to other people, then I think that's something you could be brilliant at.
Yes, it's an excellent idea. I'm going to work on it. You're just giving me something to chew, and I'm going to digest it into something brilliant.
Okay.
Well,
if I can help in any way, tell me.
Yes, you can. Well, I'm going to chat you up on this, and we'll come up with something. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
And you. All right then. Bye-bye.
Bye. Viewers out there,
Mindfield Publishing, the place where you unleash your creative genius. Write the book you've always dreamed of. Tell that unique story of yours. Mindfield Publishing is a place to be for both online and print publishing. Welcome to Mindfield Publishing Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn live interview. Meet your host, Edentu Oroso, the author of the #1 Amazon bestseller, Titan Race.
that was an awesome experience with Gary Bonn. Keep a date with me tomorrow by 5 p.m. Nigerian time. I'll be chatting with a Nigerian author who has made a mark. His book, Scarlet, has been optioned for film already. He's a best-selling author of Omar, The Diary of the Black Soldier, and Scarlet. His name is Alexander Emmanuel. By 5 p.m. Nigerian time tomorrow, I'll be on air. I'll be live on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn once more, and it promises to be an exciting one. Here's a snippet of what Alexander Emmanuel does with the pen.
Scarlet by Alexander Emmanuel. Chapter 2, Where the River Splits, Virgin Land, 300 years before the first sign.
Again, the wind swirled and gusted, and there were fresh motors of thunder from the sky. Rain lashed down, bled ferociously, and defaced the mountains and adobe walls of their last luster, while the faltering lights revealed the burnished faces of virgins and the still bodies of breathless children. The leftover oxygen in the air was elusive. A gust of bulky air sprawled from the west with the damp and choking smell of rain, and for a moment, stillness fell over the streets. After the silence came a low crackle of thunder that rolled atop the rooftops of the few houses still standing and whispered fresh death threats into the ears of those who were still alive after the 10-hour siege on the realms. The wind whistled after the last drizzle of rain splashed, lending tune to the bereaved who sang dirges for their loved ones. The wicked blossom and the good wallow in kind deeds. Villains take our diamonds and the indigent crave for crumbs of sand. We are wounded by the swords of the mighty, yet they heal with the tears of the weak. For weeks, months, and years, our young are cut off from the glory of greatness. Even Ngaya has turned his face towards our enemies.
Wonderful. That is Alexander Emmanuel Scarlett. We'll be having a chat with him tomorrow by 5 p.m. Nigerian time. He's a great fantasy author that has made a mark for himself. Keep it. I'm out. Thank you.